Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to the KSL.com Game Center podcast. We've got a special episode for you today. Well, actually, they're all pretty special these days because we don't do this podcast very often. But this one actually is really, really special because we're talking hockey. We're talking the Utah NHL team that was announced almost exactly a week ago, moving from Arizona here to Salt Lake City. And to talk about this momentous event, we've brought on Ryan Miller, our impromptu hockey beat writer. How you doing, Ryan?
Doing good. Let's do that hockey, my friend.
Let's do the hockey. I like it. So you just kind of jumped right in. You went down to Arizona. You got a taste of this team pretty early on. I guess what maybe you can talk to us a little bit about maybe what motivated you to kind of just grab this by the horns and what it's been like through this last week and a half or so.
Well, it turns out if you cover a team that also has an owner who's also buying another team, you just kind of default covering that team too. Apparently, yeah, that's essentially what it is. I had the contacts, I guess, that made it easier for everybody to jump in on this, and the Jazz just ended, so. And we stopped traveling with them because they were hot garbage at the end. So it made sense to use some of our budget to let's go see this final one. And yeah, that was really it. But what a crazy experience that was on last Wednesday for that final game. It changed my perception on everything because before, like you had heard about it, it hadn't been official yet, but kind of like everyone I had talked to was like, wink, wink, this is happening. And, all the reports were already out there. The players were told that they were moving. And my initial thought was I was of kind of confusion because we originally it was like, okay, we're going to have a new arena, right?
Hmm.
That is 2 to 3 years down the road. And then you looked at Arizona's timeline, they're like, well, that's also 2 or 3 years down the road. And anyone who's been to Delta Center, to the Frozen Fury, or watched an original Grizzlies game or Golden Eagles game, even back in the day when it first opened, knows that Delta Center is not built for hockey. Like, it's just not. Like, Larry Miller, when he built it, the Jazz were his baby. He built it to be a standard bearer for basketball arenas. And it has been that for 30 years. But hockey though it struggles with. And so like mine, I was like my initial thought was like, well, if you're only gonna have 9,000 seats in here that are unobstructed, and that's what they told us for the Frozen Fury, something around that number. Um, what's the real reason to move this team right now? I felt that way through the entire game. And then I got to the locker room and it just like suddenly everything my eyes got open. It was like, okay, like we're literally walking down a makeshift tunnel that looks like a carport got put up type stuff to a very, very collegiate locker room. And not like collegiate division 1 football locker room. We're talking just a run of the mill anything like ones you see anywhere else in the world. And I think it was like, okay, it will be night and day different for that experience. They will have amenities. They will have the bougie like locker room spaces, the place for their wives and their families. And that I think is going to be the biggest deal. And like since then, I was like, okay, now I understand why the NHL is doing this. Do I feel bad for the people of Arizona? 100%. Um, but yeah, you know what? Hopefully they get a team in 4 or 5 years from now, and we can start a little rivalry up between the two teams. But yeah, since then it was like, okay, it makes sense. And even like talking to the players yesterday, it was like, yep, this is going to be just such a night and day difference for them. And so that's why I think the league really pushed this. It's insane how fast it all went together. But yeah, so 6 weeks ago, or what, 2 weeks ago, we were looking at a boring off season and what are we going to write about for the next summer? And now we suddenly have an NHL team. So pretty crazy turn of events here in the old Beehive State.
Yeah, and you mentioned the arena there as kind of a key element to this whole thing, and it really is, especially, I mean, as we went to the press conference when they announced it on Friday, that was one of the main things that was talked about. I mean, all these events have taken place at Delta Center. They did the big welcome yesterday with all the fans, quote unquote, sold out the arena for this welcome fan event yesterday. And so, in talking about that, and we all kind of found out together, I think, on Friday what their plans are officially for this team and where they're going to be. They're going to be at Delta Center. There's going to be a big renovation that happens over the next few years to hopefully open it up and make it a better experience for hockey. And so I guess maybe what were some of your takeaways from Ryan Smith's comments about his big visionary plans for downtown Salt Lake and what the Delta Center can become?
Yeah, so like we started hearing whispers of this from the city council actually earlier last week before, because I remember our Carter Williams, our
Yeah.
kind of jack of all trades reporter, does everything for us. He called me and he's like, is it a renovation? And I'm like, that I have not heard a renovation. I would assume they'll do a minor renovation just while it's getting built to make it a little more suitable. Because he's like, everything I'm hearing right now is renovation. And then Friday we got the big like, yeah, there's no new arena anymore. Like if we're gonna be in Salt Lake, it will be in the Delta Center. Um, I still have my doubts that this can work. They are saying 17,000 when this is all finished will be unobstructed views, and I think that is more than enough for hockey. Um, uh, I don't think the size is an issue. I don't know if they can get to that number unobstructed because I had quite a bit of fans message me photos of their seats from the upper bowl last night, and it's obstructed. You couldn't see all the boards. Like it's not ridiculous. The goal lines are definitely worse. The goal sides of the stuff in that lower bowl, where literally you can't see half the ice, including one of the goals. That seems pretty important. We're talking like maybe 4 feet, 2 to 3 feet, somewhere around there on the each side. So it's probably not the oh man, this is a deal killer, but like if this is going to be your true home for the foreseeable future, I don't know if they can really get away with that. And so we'll see, but I think that like I don't know what the plan is, if they're going to completely change everything, and they very well might. We haven't seen renovation plans, but that was kind of the first time the low upper bowl kind of became a concern for me as well, because I just kind of assumed that would be okay. I like maybe if you're like right on the wall, you're probably, it's kind of like a going to a Broadway theater thing. You almost don't want to be right up there because you will have a bar in your eyes. And like honestly, Jazz seats at this point are a little obstructed there too, because they did have to put in a new safety bar. Like
Mm.
yeah, that's been years now, but like since then it has kind of been like, okay, these seats aren't as primo as they once were. So I think as you go higher, it's probably okay. But yeah, we'll really see what happens there. But it is an issue. Like it'll be something they will have to address. I'm sure they'll announce the renovation plan. We won't, from what I've been told, we won't see any of that happen this off season. All they're gonna do is more or less build a locker room for the team, probably some players' lounges area, and there's a lot of quote unquote empty space in the back right now. Um, and so I like that won't be an issue. They'll find a spot that'll be nice. They'll build that up. I think they'll have a very nice NHL hockey like locker room, visitor locker room. That stuff I don't foresee being an issue at all to be done for this summer. But yeah, and then the big renovations will begin next summer and next off season. But yeah, and honestly, we'll see what happens. I've been more or less told from the city council people that I've talked to that they will approve the tax. So this will happen. This is the plan. Hopefully it's a suitable one, because otherwise we've dumped a lot of renovation money and plans into something that a lot of fans are complaining about. But I do expect to have we'll hear quite a bit of complaints this season about sightlines, and it is what it is. Everyone should just kind of expect that and hope that it will be improved in the coming seasons.
Yeah, well, as of right now, the energy around this team has not been dampened at all, really. I think what we saw yesterday at the Delta Center was pretty incredible with the amount of people they were able to get out there and just how loud the arena was. It was funny. The general manager Bill Armstrong, when we were in the press conference before, he was talking about how they want to make this the loudest arena in the NHL. And then I was like, oh, okay, that's like a real like a fun thing to say and like it could interesting. And then we get out there and like they started just like really, really trying to ramp up this crowd, just like egging them on, and it did get quite loud. It got to the point where like you really couldn't hear like most of the player introductions. I feel like it was just
And
the entire time.
and you know what? And that's the power of the Delta Center. Like I love like Jazz fans, Utah fans are all great, but the like why I'm a huge Delta Center fan is because of how it's built. It is poured concrete for the most part, and it is vertical. So you get a funnel of sound that makes that thing echo like crazy. Makes it also bad for concerts, which they've tried to improve, but but like that's what makes that place special. So if they go build a new arena, like you're going to weaken your Jazz experience, your loud experience, because they're probably not going to build it the same because it's not doesn't really make sense. And we're having a lot of these issues that we're talking about with sidelines because of how it's built. Like most arenas aren't just like, yep, stepped concrete for an eternity. It's
Yeah.
like they have open spaces where they can manipulate stuff, bring stuff in, and kind of work it around so they can actually configure stuff for different events. Delta Center is really not like that. It is a basketball home. And so like, yeah, it got loud. It will be crazy loud in the playoffs. We've heard it with the Jazz. It'll be the same. Like it's the arena, and fans are also like they're proud of that, so they also like latch onto it. Don't get me wrong, but like
Yeah.
the arena makes it very easy to get loud in that place. And so I do think the former Coyote players, this yet to be named Utah team, will enjoy playing there much more than probably what they've been experiencing at the Mullet Arena. As fun and intimate that was, like it doesn't have the feel of an NBA or a major league arena. And sightlines problems and all that aside, like the Delta Center feels like a major league arena. So yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun. Everyone's excited, as they should be. Like I know we've had a lot of discussions like in the media and on articles and on comment sections about like the tax increase and whatnot. And I think those are all valid, but I think most people are like, well, it happens. It's not really it's out of our hands. So might as well have fun with the team. And I think most people have hit that stage. It's just like, yep, ready, set, go. Let's cheer for the team.
Yeah, so you mentioned there the former Coyotes players, the players for this yet unnamed Utah NHL team. They don't have a name right now. We don't know what to call these players. When they jumped up there yesterday, we're like, these are hockey players. So we had to talk about it a little bit. This whole naming situation. Ryan Smith mentioned it yesterday a little bit that it is going to be a fan decided thing that the fans are going to decide what the name of this team is. He mentioned on the Pat McAfee show that they're going to have 8 nominations and do a bracket and whittle it down from there. We at KSL.com did our whole kind of breakdown of different images, what it could look like, had people vote on it and stuff. There appear to be some front runners here and there, Yeti, Blizzard. But it seems like almost every day there's a new name that jumps into the conversation. Just yesterday, I know that you listed off a bunch more, and I've heard people talk about Outlaws. I've heard people talk about tons and tons of different names. So I'm curious. We talked about it a little bit last night, but can you just maybe give us a bit of an update on your thoughts on the name situation?
So the bracket, from what I've been told, will be released in the next few weeks. Um, that's about all I know about said bracket, outside of what Ryan said on some podcasts and whatnot. I do think it's an interesting idea because, like, most teams do like a naming the team contest. Like, I went and did a big history of like how every NHL team got their name. Most of which were just like owners liked the name, so they went with it, or like they had a bunch of submissions and chose them from those submissions. Essentially, it was the end. What game was the team management, whatever that was, owner, general manager, president, whatever it was, or a big board, who cares, made the decision. So this is unique that like they're just giving the fans the chance to name the team, because that I don't think that's ever really been done at the like state of this, of like, yep, whatever you guys choose, we'll go with. I think that's extremely dangerous. There's a lot of people in Utah who like a lot of dumb names. And like whatever, like, and my take on team names are all of them are kind of stupid, and you just get used to them. Like, can you imagine like the San Francisco 49ers coming out like today? It'd be like, that's silly. Like, what are we? But that has been so ingrained into us that it's like, of course, that's one of the most popular brands in sports. Like, it's very normal. But and so I kind of think that's how it'll end up. It doesn't really matter what team or what name they pick. In 6 months, we'll all be fine with it and get used to it. I'm actually more concerned with colors.
Mm.
Like I think that's a bigger deal, and maybe I am only saying that because of the last Ryan Smith decided color scheme was absolutely atrocious in every way. Um, but it sounds like he's hinting at like doing a similar thing with the Jazz, like a similar color palette with the Jazz, but use the word purple in that. So I'm like,
Mm.
we'll see. I do think the Jazz will have different branding this year, so that's something else to look forward to. And so I maybe we'll just that'll all come together at the same time, where it's like, yep, they are going purple and something else and whatnot, and what that'll be the color scheme for both teams. We'll see. I'm honestly just shooting from the hip here, but as it comes to the team name, I don't. The only one I really like now, which is so dumb, is the Utah Hockey Club. I know people hate that and they're
Yeah.
like lame, but like sometimes like it's just simple. No one like I just said people hate it, but I don't think anyone will really hate it. Like it's like once you get you because I agree. Like what seeing that initially, you're like, oh, that is lame. Like really, we're not even gonna name the team. But then it's like you think about it, you're like, well, it's not bad. Like I still stand by Washington football team is better than Washington Commanders. And I would think Cleveland Baseball Club would have been better than Cleveland Guardians. I may mostly I think if you're rebranding, I think you just go the simple route. Maybe like this might be a me thing at this point, but um, I think the fun part of having that just simple moniker is it would allow a chance for a team name to happen organically, almost like you look at like Premier League teams,
Mm.
they all have nicknames that aren't official,
Yeah.
but they become semi-official because that's what their fans call them. So I think essentially you make them the Utah Hockey Club and say, all right, let's see what the fans call us for the next year, and then we just cool, we'll just be that. Like I think it's simple enough. Or you wait for something cool to happen in honor of a player, honor a coach, like like the nickname for their current coach is Bear. Like just
Yeah.
there you go, boom, name it after him, call it a day, unofficially. Like never put it on, but everyone's like, we're just calling them the Bears now, or we're calling them whatever Logan Cooley's nickname will soon be, or what. Like so I think that creates a fun thing. Now that's probably not the best for branding. So I understand marketing side of things. Like, no, you want your name so everyone can go rush off, grab your mascot, all that stuff. So, in the end, what I think doesn't matter. They'll probably do an 18 bracket, and it very well could be the 8 trademarks from the what appears to be company connected to the Smith Entertainment Group. We haven't confirmed that more than wink wink confirmations, but it looks like it's pretty accurate that they are linked to that. Otherwise, someone is spending tens of thousands of dollars to trademark Squad, which if he is, if they are, more power to him, I guess. But
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what this fan vote actually happens. If it's 8 teams, if it's 16 teams, I honestly don't think they know at this point. Um, they do want to get it right to their credit. I think they have learned from the backlash from the Jazz rebrand that like, look, we might not be able to trust our own instinct on this. So let's give the power to the people that truly care a lot about the branding, the color, and all that. So, like, in the end, do I trust fans? No, but I probably trust them more than whoever decided on the black and yellow color scheme. So, yeah, go get them, fans. Go choose your name.
Yeah, I mean, I love that you mentioned the Utah Hockey Club because I mean, as of right now, that's all they have is just the name Utah. I mean, that was what was on all the very preliminary merch yesterday. Just NHL Utah. They did a big "Hoorah Utah" chant that was lit in the Delta Center
Mm.
last night, and that's what it's the only thing the fans could really chant, right? Was just Utah.
Utah.
and
Let's go Utah.
yeah, exactly. So it's fun for right now. At some point, they will have some nickname, as you mentioned, but as of right now, it's just Utah. As far as getting into this team and like what to expect on the ice a little bit, it was interesting talking with the general manager and the coach yesterday. I mean, the players as well a little bit. But I mean, this is a very young team. They're looking forward into the next couple drafts. I think it was mentioned that they have something like 20 picks over the next three
Yeah,
years.
top 3 round picks. The
There you
NHL
go.
draft is like 7 rounds deep,
Good,
so it's
good to know. And then in this year's draft, from what I'm looking at, they've got the sixth. The lottery hasn't happened yet. They got the sixth best odds. And the GM Bill Armstrong was kind of joking a little bit, but he said he's kind of optimistic that they could do pretty well in the lottery because they haven't won it yet.
yeah,
And
like the Coyotes lottery history had been has been awful. Like it is hilarious. They usually move down more than move up. Um, if you really want another punch to the gut, Coyotes fans, if the Utah franchise wins this lottery, that is messed up. Because especially like Macklin Celebrini is the number
yeah,
one overall pick, projected superstar, probably not um at the rate of some of the recent number one picks,
yeah,
but we're talking like generational number one picks here. He's probably not that guy, but he is an NHL guy from day one. Maybe the only NHL guy from day one in this draft. Um, and he's got all the potential in the world to be the superstar of the future for this team. So if that happens, oh man, I like it'd be one side of me would laugh very much. The other side would be like, I like, yeah, just maybe Arizona, like maybe hockey just doesn't work there. The gods just don't want that to happen. But yeah, like so yeah, we got the draft lottery coming up in early May. They have actually not announced a date on that. It's like the 6th, 7th, or 8th or something. We don't know yet. Again, this is all new to me, so I don't really know how they decide that. But I'm assuming it's how the NBA has always done it was like
ping pong balls.
well, no, I mean just like when they put it on, it's like it's like, oh yeah, we'll put it on before a national
Oh
televised
yeah,
playoff game that we care about. Like I don't know if that's how they do it. I have no idea. Like
yeah.
again, this is like learning curve up the wazoo on this stuff. Like yeah, like the schedule and stuff. I don't know anything. But yeah, it'll be fun. It's like so like Utah fans now can monitor 2 teams on that end. I would say if we're looking just like comparing it to the Jazz rebuild, the Utah team is further ahead and are doing it differently, I should add as well. They are very keen on keeping their assets. From I don't think Ryan Smith will push for like let's make a huge move this off season. He's like Bill Armstrong has kind of built this very methodically. He's obtained a ton of draft picks. He's got a ton of young talent that's really exciting. Like, and some you can watch right now. Like tonight, the Tucson Roadrunners will be playing, and you have like Dylan Gunther in that game. Josh Doan will be playing in that game. Like, those are young pieces that really came on strong at the end of this season, especially Dylan Gunther. He scored like I think like 17 goals in like 40 plus games, like just an insane run. And so those guys are like that you can go and watch them now, but like those are guys that are the future. And like Logan Cooley, rookie, he's ready, set, go. Part of the deal with him getting drafted, I believe, was that he would never go into the AHL. He would just be an NHL guy, which he has proven that he can do more than enough. And so though like you have that and Clayton Keller obviously is not that old. He's 25 years old, so it's like he's also part of that. He's been around for a long time now, like 6-7 years. You can almost compare him to like Lowry Markkinen. There's your Lowry
Hmm.
Markkinen. Everyone else is kind of young, but they're further ahead than the Jazz young guys. So like if you want to look at that way, and they have a ton of cap space, ton of assets. And so they don't like, so even if they really did want to like accelerate the timeline here, they wouldn't have to like use their draft picks to do that. They can literally just go and sign a bunch of people. Now, they don't have a back line at all right now, or a back blue line. Yeah, blue line. They every one of their defensemen is either a free agent or a restricted free agent. So there's some stuff to do. Interesting enough, a lot of those guys came yesterday. We're here. And so I'm like, does that mean they're being re-signed? Or
Yeah.
are they just still under contract? And so they come in because the contracts don't end until June. So I'm like, yeah, questions that will be answered. Bill Armstrong kind of just said he hasn't really had a lot of discussions with the ownership group about building the team, but how Ryan has been with the Jazz, just kind of allowing Danny Ainge and Justin Zanuck to do things and go at their own pace. I assume he'll do the same here, especially because, like, as you saw last night, you don't need to make a big splash to get people excited. Just the fact that the team is here, I think you'll have a honeymoon period of at least 2 seasons before anyone even cares about like winning games. Essentially, it's just it'll be fun to have the team here. They'll be competitive. They're fun. They score a ton. Like they're like the number one most like like they're one of the top goal scoring teams in the league. So it's like they will they'll be fun to go to. So I don't think you really have to have a lot of wins or losses on this end. So I don't expect a major move to push this thing fast, but it's also a possibility because they got to spend like $20 million alone just to get to the cap floor. So like they've got a ton of room. I think it's like close to like 40 million that they can spend this offseason. And I don't think NHL salaries are nearly as big as NBA salaries. And so like again, I'm using that comparison because that's what fans here are used to. So like that does give you a lot of like room to play with and that kind of money.
No, totally. And honestly, it does make it kind of easy because their calendar almost directly reflects the NBA calendar. Like they've got the draft in June, their season starts in the fall, the playoffs are in the spring. So it should be like fairly easy in that sense for fans to follow. Like they're kind of already used to this rhythm of like where things fall and when to get excited about things.
Yeah, and going back to the salaries, Nathan McKinnon, best player in the league, around there from the Avalanche, is the highest paid player in the league at $16.5 million.
Wow. Yeah.
So, like, yeah, it is dramatically different. And so you're talking $40 million. You can add like essentially 3 all-stars if you really wanted to, right? Like, or 3, not even all-stars, 3 like elite level players, like top level guys. And so I have not jumped into what NHL free agency looks like this year, so I cannot give you anything on that, but I'm just saying they have the money to go spend if they want to spend and accelerate the timeline. I actually don't think that would be the smartest move, though. I think just letting this team grow together would be like more interesting and probably better in the long term run. Like, don't go for a quick fix, go for a long, just because again, you don't need to be good immediately to get the fans. They're here and they'll be here for the foreseeable future unless you're just bad, which they won't be. So you're fine. Yeah, it'll be fun though. But yeah, the calendar, honestly, it's like I think that some people have a little worry if Utah can support 2 teams going on at once. I think that was like it's just like we hear it all the time. Like everyone looks at the Salt Lake market and it's like, oh, 1 million, whatever million, 2.1 million. But then it's like you branch it out even a little bit, which is where fans are. Like, nope, there's never been a Provo fan that's went to a Jazz game or someone from Ogden that like, and like I know every city more or less can do that, but if you actually do that, you're not your middle of the pack market size in the NHL, so you're fine. Like they'll be more than fine. Everyone will be excited. No one's gonna forget about the Jazz because the hockey team came. And so I like those worries I just laugh at, and I think most Utahns do because it's like, yeah, like there is every given Saturday in the fall there could potentially be like 130,000 people attending a college football game. So like I think we can handle, coming like 4 times a week instead of 2 times a week to downtown Salt Lake. So it'll be fun. I'm excited. I have no idea if I'll even be covering this team. I don't think I will be, but I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
as we all talked yesterday as media, it's like, yeah, a new team came, and it's not like we all got an influx of cash to suddenly go pay more
Yeah.
reporters. So like, we'll make do with what we have. I don't know how that'll all work out, but it'll be great. Woo, go hockey.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. There's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of new things for everybody. But the one thing that you just really can't deny is just like the excitement and the
Yeah.
energy. I think people are just really hyped about it. And it really does like I've been around like a couple like the Utah Royals women's soccer team just came back this last year, and like people were really excited about it. But getting a big four sport like the NHL, like the just the hype and like the prestige around it is just another level. And so that was really cool to see yesterday to just like see the players interacting with the fans and obviously they're not going to be back here until August, September, whenever their training camp starts. But in the meantime, like you mentioned, draft and all the free agency, all that fun stuff, plenty of things to watch. Hey, you can even watch the playoffs if you want to. They're not in it, but if you want to get to know hockey, watch some
Yeah,
Stanley Cup
yeah.
playoffs.
That's like honestly is and I know I have watched more of this. Like I always usually watch the playoffs because I think they're really fun and they're like it's the craziest off season or pro season in sports. I think where like and I think that's almost different too because like NBA like I don't know. I think you can give a lie detector to every NBA franchise at the beginning of the playoffs and be like, "Do you really have a chance to win this thing?" And like four of them actually will say yes and not be lying about it. Like, and the NHL is just a completely different beast. And like, you've got a puncher's chance. And so I think that makes it more fun too. You will see, like, say the Utah team gets a 7 seed next year or whatever, 8 seed. It won't be like all hope is lost. Like, we're going to go get flattened in the first round. It's like, yeah, like, they might pull it upset. It's 8-1s happen all the freaking time in hockey. So it's like, and so yeah, it's fun. It'll be a different experience, a different culture too. One thing I have noticed, which is very funny, and again, I don't think anyone cares about this, but like I have gotten more like out of state reader emails than I
Hmm.
have like in the next last 2 weeks than I have in my first 6 years combined here at KSL. Like, right. And it's like from just like random people in Canada being like, love your like this was a great story. And it was like and I almost feel that I felt that when I went to like Arizona, even talking to those hockey fans, it was like everyone was sad, but it was like in the end it was like, but I'm so excited for the players to go play for a competent owner and a fan base that obviously is exciting. It's like everyone is so nice. There's like no like anger or like getting mad at people for no reason. It's like it's just different. And so yeah, I think at actually, if we look at Utah as a whole and that culture, like that fits in well. It fits in pretty well together. Now, obviously, I don't know how the like fighting and the drunk culture of hockey will fit in with this wonderful state, but we'll see, and I'm sure it'll be fine. Salt Lake's great, so everything's fun. Like right now, it's the honeymoon period where everyone can just kind of like enjoy the fact that you have another Big Four team.
Yeah, it does seem a little ironic that a sport that's known for like all their fighting is also fueled by mainly Canadian players and
Yes.
Canadians known for being extremely nice. But it should be a perfect blend for people here in Utah too, because Utah
It
people are
really
known for being very nice. But there's also a bit of an edge once you start getting outside of the urban city limits. So
And
uh
honestly, like Utah, like it's a proud place.
yeah.
Like they are proud that the Delta Center is loud. They are proud that like they're known for like showing up to anything and everything in between. Like they're proud of sellout streaks. And so it's like this just gives everyone another thing to be proud of. And that's what you saw yesterday. It's what you've seen through this whole process and what you'll see probably forever because there's a reason the Jazz sell out every game, even when they are like hardly watchable. Like I was stunned at the like we were trying. I was trying to figure it out. Like I'm like, why are people still coming to this? So it's like, well, maybe tickets are already just bought and they don't want to waste them. Or like, but you were coming up with reasons like that made sense of why fans were still coming to this team. But in the end, they just show up because they like the team, and it's
Yeah.
like that's what they do, and that's what they'll do for the hockey team, and it'll be great, and it'll be fun, and it's probably if Salt Lake gets like renovated up the wazoo for this, that's good too. I'd rather spend it Like, I don't know. Honestly, this is how I feel about it. It feels like Salt Lake and Utah in general doesn't do any major renovations unless sports teams are involved or the Olympics. So it's like,
Yeah.
well, if this is what needs to happen to facelift the city, like, sure. Like, I don't think it should be the case. That shouldn't have to be the case at all. But, it is what it is. And so if all the city council's on board, Salt Lake will look a little different in a few years when all these renovations are done. So, yeah, all fun things going to happen. I'm sure people are mad they're paying taxes on it, but yeah, as I told Arizona people, I'm like, I'd be interested to see if that actually went to a public vote, what the results would be. But as is, we're not getting one,
Yeah.
so
I guess we'll never know.
we'll never know. So there it is. We're paying for something. So
Yeah, definitely a lot of fun things ahead. I'm sure we'll talk again once that the name bracket and all that stuff becomes a little more solidified in the next couple weeks or months. That should be, I'm sure, a very fun yet contentious period for fans to talk about those names. So
yeah, but it's more fun to talk about that than random second round picks. So
exactly. Well, thanks for coming on, Ryan, and we'll catch you guys later.
awesome. We'll see you, man.